G'day, lads. Welcome to the GreenCast, a podcast by me, Mr. GreenTex, where I usually ramble to myself like a madman in my bedroom. However, this week is not one of those episodes, as I'm joined today by fellow Australian comedian and professional shitposter, Lewis Spears.
Hey, welcome to me. I'm happy to be here, Mr. Green. That's what I'm going to call you, is it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, I know his real name. That's pretty. I could do an expose on you. Maybe that's what I'll do. If this doesn't go well, I'll just tweet your name, face, address, everything.
Oh, cool.
But I'm happy to be here, man.
Yeah,
it's
no,
good to
thank
start
you.
every podcast with a veiled threat.
That's perfectly on brand for my sort of shit anyway.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of questions and other like topics I've got written here.
Yeah, for sure.
And one of the first things I got here is just like the whole state of YouTube at the moment. And have you seen a bunch of stuff with the like children's content getting demonetized and comments getting turned off?
Yeah, I actually talked about this for like about half an hour on my recent episode of my podcast. I think that what YouTube has done, they've really painted themselves into a corner recently, and I think that what YouTube has done is they have just made a series for years, a series of knee-jerk reactions in response to controversy that has just completely fucked the platform for YouTube and the community. And what the mainstream media has done, which is really smart, which is what really creators should be doing and should have done, is the mainstream media with all of the television production companies that make all of the Tonight shows, they make all of the sketch shows, they make all of the movie trailers, all of the movie highlights, all of that kind of shit. They've banded together and they've come to YouTube and they've gone, if you want every trailer, every Tonight Show clip, every celebrity interview, every single thing that gets millions, billions of views, we want the best ad rates. We never want to get demonetized. We want to be put on trending. And what's YouTube going to do? Say no? And then they'll just be like, all right, we'll make our own platform. Fuck you. Right? So YouTube has given that to the companies, which, I guess they had to because they banded together and we didn't. Right? And then the music companies have done the same thing. If you want Nicki Minaj and Taylor Swift and fucking all country music and just all of the songs, like all the record labels have gone the same thing. We want trending, we want automatic claiming tools, we want you to protect us against people uploading songs that we don't make money off, all that kind of shit. And YouTube has to say yes, because otherwise they'll just make their own platform, right? But we didn't do that. We, even if PewDiePie was to go, I'm going to stop uploading, YouTube would be like, okay, so we'll lose a couple $1 million a year. No worries. That's chump change, right? We didn't do that. So we have no power to negotiate. So whenever the media cracks the shits and goes, oh, look at this platform, look at what they're doing, YouTube makes a knee-jerk reaction, and then it just hurts the community because we have no power, because we don't organize, essentially. Yeah. So I think what's happened is the first controversy, the big one, PewDiePie saying the N-word on the bridge.
Yeah.
That went nuts, and then that made the media have a go at YouTube, and then YouTube panicked because their advertisers pulled out. And instead of YouTube going, well, I guess we'll wait till they come back, because they will come back, because internet ads are better than TV ads, right?
Yeah.
Which is probably what they should have done. They instead panicked, and they brought in like demonetization rules, and they demonetized everyone, and they restricted content that was pretty much any kind of content that wasn't made for a child just got demonetized. But not only that, it also got restricted in reach.
Yeah.
Right? But then child content started getting promoted. So what happened? Everyone saw the fucking money and they all started making content for children. But it wasn't for children. It was for the algorithm.
Yeah.
So they were just doing whatever the algorithm wanted them to do and would make money. So all of a sudden you get all of these new millionaires that are making content for children. They got no experience. They don't know what they're doing. They're not making content for children. They're making
Spider-Man
content
Elsa
for
age.
cash. Yeah, right? So you get all this sexual, weirdly, like, not child-friendly content that's just fucking weird, and then all of the pedophiles start coming in and start time-stamping content for children.
Yeah.
Because people work out the best content for children is content made by children. So all of a sudden you have adults filming kids, and then adults watching it and sexualizing kids, and then kids watching this and having their brains turned to mush because it's fucked, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, what happens against the will of the community, everyone fucking warned YouTube about this. The community, like Pay Money Wubby, put out that huge video going, look at all these people that are sexualizing this girl doing ASMR, and then a few other people made videos warning YouTube, hey, this child safe content isn't child safe, it's harming children, it's not good for them to watch, it's gonna fucking hurt you. YouTube ignores the community, as they always do, until the fucking media catches on about 6 months later, when the problem is 6 months worse. And now YouTube has had to fucking freak out and backpedal because the mainstream media is covering it, making YouTube look like a haven for pedophiles, right? So now YouTube has not only demonetized content that is for teens and adults, right? They've also now destroyed the entire child content part of their business, which was huge. So now there's no content for kids that can go well on YouTube, and there's no content for any other human being that can go well on YouTube, and all we're left with is Tonight Show re-uploads and fucking music film clips.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, people go, oh, I'm not making any money out of my videos. And you know what that means? Neither is YouTube. Because in the agreement, they take half of your ad revenue before you even see it.
Yeah.
So if I make $1, I actually made $2, but me and YouTube split that.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I get demonetized, YouTube makes no money either. So YouTube has shot themselves in the foot where they fucked over all of their regular, true, like, content creators, and now they fucked over the kids. And now, what are they going to do? What else is there to make money on YouTube other than TV re-uploads and music?
Yeah.
And the fucking media wins, and they're totally happy, and the average creator and the community gets fucked.
Yeah.
So I think that YouTube really just needs to have a bit of backbone, I think, is the issue. Because if all they did was, all right, if you don't want to advertise on YouTube, that's fine, you'll come back, and they would have.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They freaked out, and they've been freaking out for the last 5 to 7 years, and it's just making the problem worse and worse and worse. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I think they are starting to listen.
Yeah. Because I think, well, the children's one, especially weird one, because
Yeah.
the biggest reason recently why they actually demonetized all the children's content, turned off comments and everything like that, was actually because they got fined because they broke US law by advertising to children.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, they fucking pushed their child content,
Yeah.
and then everyone was like, hang on, this is illegal.
Yeah, they're playing chicken for so fucking long until it
Yeah.
finally caught up to them.
Yeah, whereas that never would have happened if they just stuck to what they were fucking doing in 2012.
Yeah.
That's it. 2012 plus mid-roll ads. That's all they had to do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all they had to do, and it would work.
Yeah.
But I think that YouTube is starting to realize that they need to listen to the community, because they're realistically the only difference, right? The only reason YouTube is YouTube, the only difference between YouTube and Vivo, right, is us, right? The people who watch stuff and the people who make original content. If we didn't use the website, and if we keep getting fucked and people start leaving because it's no good and no one sees videos they want to watch, it's just Vivo and fucking Tonight Show re-uploads.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, if that's the main reason why people are going to YouTube, all of these TV companies are going to go, hang on, why the fuck are we putting this shit on YouTube if that's the only reason people are going to YouTube? Let's build our own shit.
Yeah.
And they will, and then that'll be it. So I think that YouTube is starting to get a little bit of backbone and listening to the community, especially after, like, the rewind thing being the most disliked video ever.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
you know, that would have been a big shock to them. That would have been like, oh fuck, we really are not listening. And I noticed, like, when they just announced a couple days ago, they unverified everyone, essentially took away everybody's check marks. and then the community lost their shit, as they always do when they make a bad decision. And I tweeted about it, and then I was like, yeah, but nothing's going to happen. But today, they just were like, hey, we heard you, and we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
When's the last time that's happened? Like, I that hasn't happened for fucking ages. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, really good... It's a small step, but I think it's a really good step in the right direction. Because if they lose the community, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think they've worked that out now.
I think the reason why there was such a stir for the verification was because, like, everyone over 100K that had verification was essentially putting out a tweet for it. And there was almost such, like, a bigger storm, like, compared to anything else, like, that the media could even, like bring up, especially with, like, the mainstream and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was really the community.
Yeah.
And they listened, which is good. I think that is good.
Yeah.
Whether or not they fix it in the right way, because companies have this tactic, which really works, of they change something and everyone goes, hey, that sucks, stop that. And then they go, all right, we're not going to do it. And then they just wait 2 months and do it anyway.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then people just stop caring because we have the attention span of toddlers online.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're not doing that. I do think they are. I think that ever since Rewind, I've started to notice a change with YouTube of them at least pretending to care.
Yeah, attempting
which
to,
is
yeah.
better, which is better than what they were doing before, which was not even pretending to care.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes, but I think that ultimately, as bad as YouTube can be, and as they don't get things right all the time, it's still by far the best platform for a creator.
Yeah.
Because Facebook's whatever, Instagram, YouTube is definitely where it's at.
Yeah.
And I've had a long career, and I've prioritized Facebook, I've prioritized Instagram, I've done this and that, I've done like every platform there is out there, and YouTube is the one that I think will still be around for a very long time, and has been for that my entire career.
Yeah.
Whereas other platforms have come and go.
It is almost scary to a degree, because it's almost to the point where it's almost like too big to fail at this point, I think.
Well, that's the thing when people go, oh, someone needs to start a competitor. No, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually impossible. Unless maybe Amazon started a competitor, maybe. Like, it would have to be a global mega corporation to compete with YouTube.
Yeah.
Because it's too expensive. Like, people have tried it. There was VidMe. There was about 3 others that have come and died.
BitChute, come gone.
Yeah, they all die because, hosting video is expensive. Like, we don't even know. In fact, we're pretty sure that YouTube makes no money off YouTube.
I think they just hit their first profit margin, like, ever,
Really?
this past, like, quarter or something like that. I think I read that somewhere.
Okay.
Don't quote
Yeah.
me on that, but
And
I
how
think...
long has it been around? Like, decades?
Literally decades, yeah.
So, if you have $10 billion and you're happy to lose that for 10 years, yeah, you start a competitor. Give it a go. See how it goes for you. But yeah, until some insane multi-billionaire comes along and creates something better, YouTube is where it's at, and I don't think that's going to change. Because essentially, I just think YouTube is just good advertising for Google's other services.
Yeah, but ironically, I think the biggest competitor to YouTube right now is probably actually Twitch, rather than anything else.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Twitch is interesting. I think...
which is Amazon, which is another global corporation.
That is true.
But...
Yeah.
It's run so... I don't know if poorly is the right word, but especially a lot of the staff on there, just... Because they're all quite young, surprisingly. They're all mid to, like, maybe late 20s. So there are a lot of the mods, because they just got bought out by Amazon and just didn't change the staff at all.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
It's good and bad, but there's a lot of, like, questionable bans and a lot of picking and choosing between, like, who gets... more views and promoted on Twitch, especially.
Well, I think I understand. I don't know too much about Twitch because that's one of the ones that I've never tried on, because I was like, I just don't want to do another thing. Right?
Yeah.
Twitch is interesting. When I see that stuff, when they're not like standard, and when there's questionable bans and things like that. That to me is because, at least, right, the bright side of it, you can tell that it's run by humans.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, true.
seems to be 100% automated. You
Yeah.
can't talk to anyone. I've got like 370,000 subscribers. I talk to a human once, and he's my partner manager, and I don't know where he's gone, right? I don't think I'm allowed to talk to him anymore. That's it. I talked to him once, and that was it, right? So I think that with Twitch, it's like, yeah, they seem to make some questionable decisions, and they seem to make mistakes, but you know what? That's fucking awesome, because it's run by humans instead of soulless robots.
Yeah.
Right? That way you can't talk to anyone. I think that's what Twitch seems to do really well, is that it seems like every creator that's quite popular, or even a little bit popular, seems to be talking to someone, which I think is very important for a creator, because you just need someone to be like, hey, because sometimes I remember for 6 months all of my shit would get no views, and I didn't realize it was because I had a stupid word in my automatic tags that I put in as a joke.
Yeah.
And I just left there and forgot about it. And, you know, if I had a partner manager, they could be like, hey man, take that out. You'll get double the views. I'll go, oh fuck. Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I think that's, but then again, YouTube is too big to have a person for everyone. So, guys, what I'm really trying to say here is that I have a lot of complaints and zero solutions.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm really here for, to complain and be like, oh, fix this. How? I don't know. Fix it. That's what I'm really saying.
Yeah. Tags is an interesting one, though, especially on YouTube. Like, I find that there's just sometimes random phrases and words that just get you demonetized.
Yeah.
And one of the hilarious ones that I found was it was around a couple months after the Logan Paul suicide forest incident. And I had a video literally called The Forest, which was just like a story of like some kid going into a forest. And that was getting me demonetized. And I changed it to something, what the fuck was it? Something like In the Trees.
Yeah.
And that got it remonetized within seconds of changing the title.
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, I guess because that one guy's fucked up now, I guess we just can't use that word in the title anymore.
Yeah, and that's the kind of shit where, you know, like that Logan Paul shit, because YouTube is run by machines, that would have fucked the ad revenue for every single nature YouTuber for years.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It'd be like, oh fuck, I can't vlog in a forest anymore, even though I'm teaching people about sustainable wildlife practices.
Yeah.
Fuck. So I don't know. YouTube has its issues, but you know, I love it. It is good.
It's great. I'll talk to you about stand-up for a bit now, because hilariously, you're probably the first person that I've ever seen actually do stand-up live before.
Oh,
and you're the
really?
person that probably got me into enjoying stand-up and around that
you came to my
scene.
Brisbane show last night, yeah?
Yeah, I came to your Brisbane show
Cool.
last night, and I came to your second Brisbane show. I wasn't at the first one because I was underage at the time and was still in school, ironically.
Man, no one came to my first Brisbane show. My very first Brisbane show, I did it in a 370-seat theatre, and I sold 17 tickets. But it was a really good show. But now I'm, you know, this is my 5th tour, and I'm doing 450-seat theatre twice, and we're filling it, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. So what do you think of the show?
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, you definitely, like, especially I was listening to Bert Kreischer's podcast, and the thing that I enjoy about stand-up the most, and I think you even talked about it, it's one of those things where the longer you go, the better you become.
Yeah.
Especially. But even the thing that I probably enjoy most about storytelling, about stand-up, is the fact that it's just a form of storytelling, and it's just telling a good story. And even like recently, I've just started just like doing things and like, that'd make a funny story, and just doing stuff that I wouldn't rather do. Really do usually. Yeah,
that's a big philosophy in my life, because I think I've worked out that a lot of my jokes are just me telling stories of things that actually happened to me, and then also probably just mixing in a lot of me getting angry about shit as well. Right? It's just going and doing things and yelling about them afterwards, right? It seems to be what I'm talking about a lot, and that's all it is. Like sometimes I'll just do things that I know that I might not like, or things that I would never normally do, and be like, I might get a bit out of it, you know. So which ironically is is I've like stumbled across a really positive philosophy in life where
Yeah.
I'm like, even if this horrible thing happens, at least I'll get something out of it creatively. So that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, so it's good. But also when bad things happen, in the back of my head, I can't turn it off. Right? So if I go to a funeral, I'm still thinking, I wonder if something funny will happen. And it doesn't.
Yeah.
Most of the time it doesn't, because it's a funeral.
Yeah.
But I still have that machine in my head just looking for jokes when in places where it's not appropriate. I'll have like a hectic fight with my girlfriend, and then 8 months later I'll be like, hey, so you remember that fight where I really fucked up and it was bad and we had a big blow up? I was thinking of talking about it for 10 minutes on stage for strangers. What do you reckon? And she's like, it's personal. I'll be like, yeah, but you know what you signed up for.
Oh, fuck. But yeah, there was literally last week I had one of those times where I'm like, oh, this could be a funny story. I sat in the sauna at my gym for 40 minutes because there was a guy probably about 50 that started talking about black magic, chemtrails. And
you
then,
can't leave.
Yeah, I couldn't
I've been
leave.
there all day.
Yeah, and then someone else walked in and started talking about how he's a born-again Christian after he almost killed himself.
Right, so
and
you
I'm
kind
like,
of walked into a Joe Rogan podcast
yeah,
in a
and
sauna.
and I'm like, oh, cool, so I just can't fucking leave
Yeah.
now. And, oh, fuck, dude. He was basically the Australian Alex Jones, this fucking guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fucking gold. Everything he was spitting out. He kept going on about like, oh, I've been looking at the sky for 20 years, mate, and fucking the past couple of years they've stopped spraying shit. Don't know what they're fucking doing, but they're fucking doing something, mate. And I'm just
So he's
trying
angry
to
that they're not
compose
putting
myself.
chemicals in his brain.
Yeah,
Like,
they've stopped.
Give me back my chems.
Yeah, exactly. But it just, fucking, I don't even know where to like begin with it, because yeah, it was just everything he was saying was gold. And
You
then
think about starting stand up?
I'd like to give it a go at some point. Yeah, I guess it's kind of just getting over that first time, especially, and just being okay with bombing, especially.
Yeah, that's all that it is that you just have to go in knowing that probably definitely the first year, probably also your second year, you're just going to be shit.
Yeah.
You're just not going to be good. You might do well sometimes or for a portion of your set, but then for most of it you'll suck. It's just like that. It's like you can practice piano at home and no one has to listen to it, and you can still improve because you know what sounds good and what sounds bad.
Yeah.
You can't do that with comedy. You have to do it in front of an audience. So you have to practice while you're shit in front of a crowd who's expecting you to be good and is disappointed when you're not.
Yeah.
It's just the brutality of stand-up. It's like one of the only skills where you can't get good at home. So yeah, you just have to push past that first year or two where you're not very good.
Yeah.
And then you're on your way. Because, you know, if you can put up with a year of bombing, fuck, I tell you what, you can kind of do anything. It gives you a lot of resilience in life. You know, it's like, I was shit for a year doing stand-up. I can stay on hold with the bank for 20 minutes, you know, without yelling.
Because I feel like I'm okay, especially with like bombing and that sort of stuff. With YouTube especially, it's helped with a lot of that sort of stuff. Because
no one will be as mean as a YouTube comment, right? You never get that in real life. You're like, this fucking sucks, delete your channel and kill yourself. I've never had that after a show.
Yeah.
I've never had, people convincing me to try and neck myself after I tell a joke that didn't go well.
Yeah.
On YouTube, you'll get that. Not so much in real life.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm 21 and my voice is like probably a little bit higher than most like guys my sort of age at this point, and like half the time that's like a quarter of the comment section are just like, oh, I thought you were actually 12, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I've kind of come to terms at this point. I'm just like, I'm fucked, this is the voice that I have at this point.
You're 12. I've got the height of a basketball player. Everyone's got something.
Yeah, true. But probably the thing that I appreciate most, especially about the Australian stand-up scene compared to like the American stand-up scene, is how much like you, Luke, Frenchie, everyone, Neil, kind of just understands social media and how to use that as like a tool to interact with your fan bases as well.
Yeah, well, I think Australia is really unique in that sense. In I think it came about out of necessity. So I think that in America, for the longest time, you didn't need social media because there's so much opportunity there. And like
Yeah.
when I went to New York, I was like, oh, you can become a millionaire comedian without being famous. That's totally possible. There's just so many gigs. There's so many television shows. There's so many networks. Like there's literally hundreds of television channels, and they all have 20 primetime shows that they need to film
Yeah.
every season. So there's like hundreds of TV shows, each with hundreds of opportunities, each with millions of dollars. You can become a millionaire comedian without being famous in America. Totally possible. You can't do that in Australia, right? You can barely become a millionaire comedian even if you are famous here, right? Because there's fucking 5 TV channels, and only 3 of them have any money, and only one of them will actually do comedy, right? So it's very hard to make a good living, and it's very hard to get a fan base if you're just going the traditional media route in Australia. But so I think that's where it came from, is that, you know, people often look at comedians from LA, like the Joe Rogans and the Burt Kreisches who are in the podcast circuit now, especially now that it's really huge.
Yeah.
But I think that Australia was really doing that too, in terms of stand-up people properly understanding the online thing beyond podcasting. Because the comedians in America now are doing Instagram and they're starting to do YouTube. In Australia, we've been on that for maybe 6 years now, in terms of we've been late to podcasting, but for everything else, Facebook, YouTube, social media, I feel like we were kind of the first to really properly do both. And it's also a very unique culture in the other sense of things, where almost every single person who's big online in Australia is a stand-up comedian, like a real one, not just an online guy doing shows.
Yeah.
It's like a stand-up comedian. Whereas in America, probably because there's so much money in brand deals there, no one really does live shows unless they were a comedian first and then they started doing online stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting online creator culture we have in Australia, where most of us who are big are stand-up comics.
Early on, did you find that you were almost like tossed aside because you had that online following? Doing stand-up?
Not by people, not by like regular humans, definitely by the industry for sure.
Yeah.
Because in Australia, like when I was saying, there's so little opportunity in the mainstream media that it's very controlled and regimented by the higher ups and the people who choose you. So before the internet, in Australia, and especially with comedy festivals and radio and TV, you could literally create a famous person. You could be like, I like this guy, I'm going to make him famous. I'm going to get him to do the gala, and then I'm going to get him on radio, and then I'm going to get him on TV, and now he's a famous comedian because I made that fucking happen, right? That's literally just a couple of people picking one person, and now they're famous.
Yeah.
So there was, and previously, and it's kind of stopping now, which is sad, a bit of a roadmap for a comedian in Australia, where you do raw comedy, and then you do fresh faces, and then you do a lot of different stuff with the Melbourne Comedy Festival. You do a couple shows. You might get on the gala, and then you'll get maybe a radio show or maybe a TV show, and now you're famous, right?
Yeah.
There was definitely a roadmap. There's a few other steps there, but I'm simplifying it. There's definitely a roadmap, and you do this, and you do that, and you do that, and it's really controlled by a select few people, right?
Yeah.
So everyone is lining up, trying to become the next person that gets picked. But then all of a sudden the internet comes around, and fucking I do videos for a year, and then in my first year of stand-up, I'm doing a tour and selling out, right? And all of these other comics who haven't put anything into the internet because for some reason they look down upon it, they look at me and all of the other online guys who are selling out shows and who have audiences and fan bases that weren't given to us, that were earned, right? And they go, hey, you're skipping the queue. You pushed in. I've been waiting for years, and I'm halfway there, and you've pushed in. And then we look at them and go, there's no queue, man. What are you doing? There's no queue. Just do shit and let people see it, and if they like you, they'll come. So I think that the industry pushback, I understand where it comes from. It doesn't make sense, but I understand where it comes from in the sense that a lot of people before the internet got halfway into this, traditional route of success, and then we blew past them, and they're still waiting for their turn, and their turn doesn't come until someone, a big comedian gets too old and decides to retire, and everybody moves up one step.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're doing shit and attracting audiences and doing shows and having genuine fans who like us because of what we do and the people that we are, rather than, I saw you on TV the other day and you said a bloody zinger about the news. So I understand where it comes from. It doesn't make sense, but there has been a lot of industry pushback. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because my focus is America. That's where I really want to go. I want to, do comedy clubs every night. In Australia, in Melbourne, we got one club. I went to New York. There's 20.
Jesus.
Like I ran around with a comedian, Andrew Schultz, in New York, and on a Thursday night, he did 4 comedy clubs in 2 hours, 4 15-minute sets in front of a sold-out crowd. They're not even his shows. They're just the comedy clubs with 6 comedians on that night.
Yeah, right.
So we go to one club, he does 15, he kills. We get in a cab, we go to another one, he kills. Then we go back to the same club, it's their next show, he kills to a brand new audience. Then he goes back to a different club. So four different audiences, 15 minutes each. That's like, what, an hour? For me, in terms of like performing for comedy crowds, that's like 3 months worth of gigs in a night.
Fuck.
Paid every night.
Jesus.
That's why they're so good.
Yeah.
Because they just have that stage time. So that's where seeing that made me go, oh, if I truly want to be one of the greats, I got to be there. So that's the goal for me.
I think that might be just a testament to like Australian comedians as a whole then. If like they don't have nearly as much opportunity to even like try and have those many opportunities for spots.
Yeah.
Comparatively to like America.
That's what I was thinking as well. Like when I was watching a lot of these comedians from New York, I was watching these people and I was like, you have this much stage time. Like there were some people that were amazing and that like the best people I've ever seen, people you've never heard of, people like you see them and you go, how the fuck isn't this person, like Dave Chappelle level? They're incredible.
Yeah.
But there were some other people that were older than me and I was watching them, I was like, I think I'm on your level. And I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you have that much stage time, how can you not be the greatest?
Yeah.
So I think that you're right in the sense that Australian comedians, I think, to get really good, have to work way harder because there's less opportunities to get in front of like really good crowds. So when we're on stage, we're fucking working. Like every set I do, I'm like, I need to get off stage a little bit better, because if I don't, I've only got a few more of these left before I do my next tour. So I'm really using it and working. And I guess you would see a lot of people who might have grown up in New York where there's just comedy spots galore, and you see them on stage and you're like, yeah, you're doing comedy, but you're not trying to get better. So I feel like if I was to take the work ethic that I have to a place where that just has that many gigs, I think you would just get so much better.
Yeah. I think it might even just be literally something like they just take it for granted and they just get too comfortable having that many spots.
Well,
yeah,
like,
true.
You can't judge it. Like they don't know how good they have it. It's like, it's like us eating food and be like, oh, I don't feel like a burger today. I guess I'll eat something else and walk 5 minutes down the road. Meanwhile, some cunt is eating dirt, going, oh, I'm going to die. I'll eat anything. How can they not appreciate that?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I want to talk about work ethic for a bit. Especially as someone, I work from home myself. And I know now, you used to work from home yourself. Did you find that, and how much did your productivity increase once you moved your workspace from your bedroom to like your own warehouse or office space?
Yeah, heaps, like a crazy amount, because like every creator online, I just started making shit in my bedroom, and I started doing that, but I don't come from money, so we got a small house. It was just in with my parents' place, so I just got a small little house. Dad's a builder, mum's a hairdresser, right? We don't have much money, so whatever. I'm filming on shit equipment in my bedroom, just trying to make it work like everybody else. And then I got this audience, and I started getting to a point where the shows were getting bigger, and I was making almost enough money to like start renting a film space. And then the perfect space came up, and I couldn't afford it. And then I was like, fuck it. I gambled, and I was like, I think that if I get this place, it will enable me to make more content, which means more money, more merch sales and that. So I got it, couldn't afford it. I signed the lease for like a year, and I looked at my bank account. I'm like, I can afford it for 3 months. And, but sure enough, it really worked, because you go to work, you know, and I could film at all hours of the night. I wouldn't be waking up my family. I could film really early in the morning if I wanted to. Sometimes I would do gigs and then come to the warehouse and film at like fucking 1 a.m. or anything like that. I could also, like, you know, have all of my film spaces set up, ready to go to just step into, rather than, oh, I'm doing loo reviews, so I gotta set up the tripod and do the shelf and set up the lighting. Oh, now I'm doing bi-monthly bull, I gotta pack down that, put up my green screen, all of that kind of shit. Saved so much time, and it also made it so much more enjoyable. Like, I went to work, you know, so I was just in this space that has nothing, no distractions, no bullshit. It's a workplace, so I could really leave my home, my leisure space, and go to work and be in work mode. And that just is a big reason why my channel has kind of exploded in the last maybe 18 months, I'd say, is because I had a warehouse, and then, you know, with the warehouse, my content kind of got so much better quality wise and production wise, and also consistency wise, that I started making more money, and all of a sudden I could actually afford the warehouse. And then I started making a little bit more money, and I was like, oh, I can almost afford to hire an editor. So I did the same thing, and I got an editor in to help me film stuff like once a week, and that started working. And now, you know, I'm in the warehouse fucking 5-6 days a week. I got an editor 5 days a week, and we're just putting out more content than I ever have in my life, and it's the best stuff I've ever put out, because it's just so much more efficient, and it's really good. It's enabled me to work more efficiently, because now, instead of filming everything and editing everything, all I have to do is write it and then perform it, and then I pass it on to the editor, and then I can just start writing the next thing while he edits something that'll go up tonight. I'm either filming the thing that'll go up the next day, or writing something that'll go up in 2 days. So it's just made that content output so much faster, so much quicker, and higher quality, because I enjoy it more.
That, especially enjoying making your content, is probably the biggest thing on YouTube. Because even I got myself an editor just for one aspect of making my content that I didn't enjoy, and that just made it so much easier to actually put out content. Especially, like, I literally just have an editor to cut my audio, because like my channel is just literally narrating stories. So I just pass off my recording to someone, and they just edit all my fuck ups for me, which was the most demotivating thing for me, especially. But I just have to sit down for a couple hours, work through like 5 videos or so, just editing out all these fuck ups, and be like, oh. But even just, again, having that workspace is the same as your leisure space. It, you know, you get distracted to be like, oh, I got a Facebook message while editing this, I'll go do this. So, fucking watch a YouTube video, take a break for 10 minutes, and you're sitting there for an hour, and you're like, fuck, guess I'll go do this thing now, and then I'll just come back to it later. It's fine. That's another thing. Now when I go home, and I don't have to think about anything. I can like really just do fuck all without feeling like I'm slacking off, because I'm not doing fuck all in my workspace. You know what I mean? So now it's really allowed me to have like to work, to put out more shit while actually feeling like I'm working less, because I can properly separate it, you know. And that's the thing with getting the editor. A lot of YouTubers are like, oh,
I can't get an editor. It has to be edited by me because I have the magic touch. And it's like, no, you don't. All right. You taught yourself.
Yeah.
You can teach someone else. And as long as you're there to give notes and feedback, it's still got your magic in it.
Yeah.
Right. And I felt that too. I was like, oh, but I edit my videos, and if someone else edits it, it'll be different. No one noticed. No, not a single person noticed that I wasn't editing my videos anymore, which was like, oh, fuck, I never should have been editing them. It's like, you know, rappers very rarely record and mix themselves or make the beats themselves.
Yeah.
They fucking delegate, you know? Why would I make the fucking beat myself when I could find some guy who's only been making beats for 20 years and that's what he loves to do?
Yeah.
It's going to be so much better than me being a jack of all trades. So now I can just focus on all I have to do is be funny as fuck. That's my only job, and it's the best. And yeah, I think that's the thing. It's all about just being as efficient as you can, so that your passion remains your passion. Because I feel like that's a big reason why YouTubers have burnout, is because they think being a YouTuber is doing everything.
Yeah.
It's not. As long as you write it, as long as you're in front of the camera, that's all you need to do. Just fucking be a YouTuber. You don't have to be an editor. You don't have to be a poster even. You know, like there's so many social media platforms out there now. I'm sick of posting. That's the next thing that I want to get rid of.
Yeah.
You know, I've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I've got fucking TikTok now.
Right? Really?
So that's like 4 platforms, but then I have Lewis Spears, and then I have my podcast, and then I have Luke and Lewis, and then I have also all of my events and touring that I'm trying to advertise, right? Yeah. That's like 6 different things on 6 different platforms. Every day, all I do is post shit, and I'm sick of it. That's the next thing that I want to replace, is just get a guy in to just help my editor and schedule shit. Yeah. So I don't have to sit on my phone for fucking literally, I reckon, 3 hours a day scheduling, posting, Snapchatting, this, that. That's the next thing that I want to get rid of.
Yeah.
I'm trying to replace myself with AI. That's what I really want to do. Pretty soon, in 2200, in 2200, my channel's just going to be of me in a floating jar, and it's operated by a fucking microchip.
Yeah. When you say scheduled content, do you actually have it like automated go live at a specific time? Is that something you've looked into that much, a specific like analytic wise, like I might get the most amount of like views and likes if I post this specific time?
I've never been good at that. I've always just put stuff up when I put it up, but I think I need to start doing that because I've noticed, like especially this year, now that I'm doing YouTube properly, my audience is really changing. So it used to be on YouTube, it used to be 80% Australia. Yeah. Now Australia is only 20% of my viewership. Jesus. It's 50% American. Yeah. So I think now I'm prioritizing Australia because I'm touring Australia, obviously. So I put stuff up at 6 p.m., 5 p.m. so people can watch it on the way home from work or whatever. But I think that when this tour is done, I'm going to have to start uploading at American times, especially because I want to start doing shows in America. Yeah. I might have to start scheduling videos to go up at like 2 or 3 a.m. so they hit like American prime time. Yeah. Which I know, I mean, most YouTubers do, that I know from Australia, like Max Mofo, he fucking lives in those hours. Like he'll always be, I'll finish a show, I'll be like, hey, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I just woke up, about to start editing, you know, to put out a fucking video. So I think that'll be the next thing for me is properly scheduling shit, because otherwise I set fucking alarms on my phone at like 5 p.m. like, oh, gotta post an Instagram post. Like I should really just fucking wake up at 10 a.m. on my computer, schedule all that shit, and forget about it. But I'm getting there. Yeah, because that's what I've always done with my content. Because especially like 4chan seems to be more so American based with that sort of stuff. In Australia now? Well, only specific IPs, ISPs have it banned. Like some of the major ones, like Telstra. The provider that I'm with doesn't have it banned for whatever reason, so I don't need a VPN. I thought it was Telstra, Optus, because I'm with Optus, I can't go on it. Yeah. And then it was some other big one as well. And I remember after that awful shit in New Zealand happened, they came out and they banned it. and they said it was a temporary ban. It's fucking not.
No, yeah.
Because here's the thing, right? Optus, Telstra, and another big telco company, they go, oh, we're putting a temporary ban on 4chan. Everyone goes, okay, whatever, that sucks, but I guess. Now, that's one thing, right? That's enough to make people angry, is banning a website.
Yeah.
But let me tell you about the fucking fire and brimstone that would rain upon whichever telco company decides to unblock 4chan.
Oh, God,
right?
yeah.
Imagine if they do that. They'll never do that because they know the hell they'll cop. So it's
Yeah.
not a temporary ban. That made me get a VPN.
Yeah.
And because I just think that censorship is bullshit.
Yeah. But, yeah, because, again, like I was saying, majority of my audience is American, so almost all of my videos go live at like 2 to 3 a.m., exactly like you were saying before as well, which just seems to be when, specifically when kids sort of get home from school.
Yeah.
And that just seems to be like prime sort of upload time, especially. Because, there was a point I was uploading at like midday my time, and then even just uploading it from like 3 a.m., I just watch my views increase by like 25 to 50% just because it's that specific time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so often I'll put up stuff at fucking Australian time, and the first comments, which are always the keenest fans, the people who watch it first, the first 10 comments are almost always like, why are you uploading at 4 a.m.?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, if my keenest people are Americans that are so keen they will watch my shit at 4 a.m.,
Yeah.
I think I might have to start prioritizing those cunts a little bit. Give back.
Yeah. One of the last things I wanted to talk about before I get into a couple of questions here is the third tour you did, Try and Stop Me.
Yeah.
While I was down in the city, I parked at the train station. But my train station probably isn't the most well-known for security, especially. Yeah. And I had my back windshield smashed by a rock while I was at your show. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, so that was a whole fucking thing. But I got you to actually sign a piece of my windshield because I can still almost remember the fucking date that it happened, and it fucked me as well because when I had my windshield broken, I asked for the CCTV footage and they just said no, and I'm like, okay,
that sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. They said they couldn't see anything. Apparently there was a guy on a lawnmower that went past, but couldn't see anything. Like, oh well, out of our control. And I'm like, okay, mate. Yeah. And so then went to go through insurance, and apparently the minimum claim was $550 to get the windshield repaired was $530. So they said, oh well, you can't.
Right.
It was like $30 under, and like, well, you can't get that claim either. So I just got fucked. So that night was quite expensive for me.
It was worth $500.
Yeah. It was quite enjoyable, but I don't
start charging $500 for tickets.
Yeah, I don't know. No offense, I don't know if any show is particularly worth $500.
So.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get into the part of the podcast that I dubbed the most autistic part of the podcast. A lot like sort of yours, except
okay.
lower your standards of stories and questions.
Yeah.
None of my fans have any weird fucking vomit sex stories or anything like that.
Stuff
or
that
any...
I get on Spearhead Sundays is dire.
Mine... But yeah, I got probably about 20 to 25 questions.
Yep.
That's about 4 that I can ask out of the entire list here. And...
Do they know that I'm answering these?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I put it out there and hey, you got any questions for Lewis?
Yep.
A lot of them are just dumb fucking memes, so there's just no point anyway.
Yep. Classic.
I've got one here from a fella called Chef Retardee.
Right. So this will be an intelligent question from Chef Retardee.
Yeah.
What does he cook? Down syndrome meatballs?
And he says, what's your opinion on furries?
Furries, of course. Thanks, Chef Retardee. I don't know. It's fucking... It sounds expensive just to be sweaty in a fucking fursuit.
It's about $3,000 for a fursuit.
Yeah.
Don't ask how I know that.
And, well, how do you wash it too? That's my... I don't care. Whatever. You want to fuck a cartoon dog, good on you. What I'm really worried about is how much you stink in that suit, right? That's the thing that I don't get about furries dressing up as furries at comic conventions. It's not the same thing, all right? Have a furry convention and do that there. Cool, great. Comic convention. I'm a dad. I want to take my kid, right? I don't need to see you and your weird sex cult sweaty in your $3,000 fuck off fursuits. All right, leave. Do that somewhere else. It's not a comic book thing. You dressing up as a dog that you want to have sex as.
Yeah.
Okay, not a comic book thing. Do it at your own convention. Go for it. Do whatever you want to do. But don't do it at a fucking video game convention. Rocking up in a costume that says, I want to fuck dogs, bro. Look at me. It's not good. That'd be like if I rocked up to a comic book convention with a fucking, like in a full-on latex suit that has a hole around my ass. Be like, I like BDSM, anal sex. Woohoo. Can I get a comic book? No. You have your own conventions for that.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Oh, fuck. What else have I got here?
There you go, Chef Retardee. Hope that answers your question.
I got a question here from a fellow called AJ, and he says, "What is your opinion on Amy Schumer as a comedian?"
I don't have much of an opinion. I think with all of the joke theft stuff, I think I'm a little bit on the fence on it. I don't think... So here's the thing. Her stand-up and her TV show I categorize as two different things, right? So her stand-up I'll talk about. So let's go with her TV show. A lot of people accused her of stealing jokes from other people for her TV show. Her TV show had a lot of writers, and I think that she just had a lot of lazy writers in the room. So if I had a TV show in America, I might have 12 writers on staff, 12 people pitching me ideas, right? And if one of them has stolen a joke and they've given me, the best sketch idea ever, and I haven't seen it, there's no way for me to know that that's a stolen idea. And then I go and do it, and all of a sudden I'm the joke thief, even though I've just helped punch up an idea that was stolen that I had no idea about. So I'm a little bit with the stuff with her TV show or with any kind of television show, because I understand how the industry works. I think that's a little bit unfair to say that she stole it for her TV show. Her stand-up, I just think, is not that good. It's not my cup of tea. I think that she used to be hilarious. I think she used to be really, really good when she was doing like the roasts and when she was on Comedy Central. I think she was fucking awesome. But now, I don't know. I think that she's absolutely smashing a demographic that I'm definitely not part of, which is like wine mums.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
doing comedy for wine mums.
Yeah,
and, hey, that's a market. Go and work it. So good on it.
Yeah. I got a question here from a fellow called Will Billy, and he says, "Lewis, what's your stance on parenting? You made a video about the world's strictest parents." He said, blah blah blah, long-winded. Do you not believe in strong, stiff parenting? He's basically saying.
I don't believe in being such shit parents that you can't control your children, so you give them to the producers of a reality TV show who ship them off to another family who's a mega Christian family that lives on a farm who will make you move bales of hay if you say fuck. If that's your idea of good parenting, bro, I'm sorry to tell you, you're wrong, right? I wasn't criticizing their style of parenting. I was criticizing the idea of the show of, oh, I can't control my kids, so I'm going to fucking whore them out on television and embarrass them and send them off to another family that I've never met.
Yeah.
No, I think that's bullshit. I think that a strict parenting is fucking fine and great. That's what I had. I didn't have strict parents. I had parents that instilled a really good work ethic in me.
Yeah.
And they really, because both of them are self-employed, right? Mum's a hairdresser, dad's a builder. Their mum especially really instilled in me that, hey, everything's your fault, right? Your success, your failure, that's on you. So work it out. And if stand up for yourself, make sure you work hard because nobody will do it for you. Your problems are your own. Trying to help help people is great, but at the end of the day, your shit is your shit, so work it out.
Yeah.
That's what was instilled in me. So I think that I have no issue with strict parenting. I do have an issue with thinking that fucking what you see on reality TV is an example of good parenting, dickhead.
Yeah. I got one final question here from a guy called Potato Boy. And he says, "Hey, Lewis, do you like dick and balls?"
No.
Fair. All right, I guess that'll do for this week's podcast.
Right.
Thank you so much for joining me, Lewis. I appreciate you so much for doing this.
No worries.
Do you have
Happy to
anything
come on.
you wanted to plug?
Yeah, I got my tour. It's still happening. No slide season. I'm going to Sydney, Melbourne, Wollongong, fucking so many cities. I think I have like 15 cities left. Check it out. I'm going all over Australia, a bunch of regionals, a bunch of major cities, all of the major cities, Adelaide, Perth, everywhere. losebeers.com/gigs. I mean, you saw the show last night. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun, and I'd love to see you there. If you're not in Australia, I've got a podcast, Spearhead Sundays, which is me yelling by myself, or just my YouTube channel, man. Check that out.
Yeah. All right. And then one final thing that I usually like to do on the end of my podcast is to see and check who actually made it the whole way through. I usually like to have a call out for just a phrase or even a word for something to include in the comments, so that way I can actually tell they made it the whole way through the podcast.
Cunt nugget. How about that?
Perfect.
Cool.
Perfect. So if you made it the whole way through this almost hour-long podcast, be sure to include somewhere in your comment, cunt nugget, and I'll give you a little fucking heart. So how about that, guys? Thanks so much for watching, and catch you later, cunts.
Sweet.